When I say I watched her die, I was watching through the fucking window in the door.
So you were watching them do surgery through the window.
Yes.
The entire internet just got fooled by a 13-year-old that someone playing Doom by Fate died via seizure. And that person, Kit, doesn't even exist. I am not joking. These past 24 hours have been chaotic. And my video yesterday is completely redundant. Despite a few things that just need to be corrected, that video... No one died, and the person who is accusing Doom by Fate of this, relaying all the information about someone dying and everything that happened, is 13 years old. If I knew that sooner, I think my suspicions would have been a lot higher. I did have some suspicions because, I mean, without proof, it's kind of hard to just believe, but the way that some people in the Doom by Fate server were acting about it, I guess it kind of just made me think it was real. I was so disgusted by how they were acting about it that I kind of just didn't really think about it too much. Now, I do want to say I'm not retracting my donation to the Epilepsy Foundation. That is going to stay, and I still advise you to go and donate to them, as they are a wonderful group of people who are there to help those with epilepsy. And at the end of the video, I'm going to sort of retract and adjust statements made in the previous video, as now that more information's out, and of course it was all a lie, there's some things I want to correct. But first, we need to look into this interview that KreekCraft did with the 13-year-old accuser that was posted fully unedited to Twitter. And without saying too much, I think this kid is Usain Bolt by what he says. I'm not gonna say the kid's name, as they're 13. I don't want people going out their way to jump this kid, because they shouldn't be on the internet, period. Where are their parents? Like, sure, the epilepsy mode it needs an update. It really does. The reality is Doom by Fate didn't do anything wrong. And it feels like this 13-year-old kid, whether they knew it or not, just caused a smear campaign for a small Roblox game. Kreek somehow manages to keep professional this entire interview. And I kneel, because if I was in that situation, if I was the interviewer, I would be cracking up. So let's go into it and enjoy the B-hop shitty gameplay in the background. Now, of course, it starts off, you know, he's introducing himself. He's kind of being like, I'm investigating, you know, I'm like looking into all this because it's pretty big. And then we're hit with the bombshell.
I'm really trying to not get this out because I'm tired of seeing messages like I sent, and they keep... I'm getting sent death threats over this.
First off, it's never okay to send death threats, even if it is the worst human out there. Sending a death threat is just lame. Telling someone to off themselves does not... What does that do? It doesn't do anything. But what do you mean that you've not been trying to get this out? Someone's gonna talk about this. So we did. What? And then for some reason, we are told a diagnosis that apparently was given in a single day.
Yesterday, I got diagnosed with insomnia because of this. I haven't slept for 4 days straight because of this.
Now, I'm no doctor here, but I don't think a diagnosis of insomnia can be told overnight. But that's not even the craziest thing said here. They say they haven't slept for 4 days straight because of this. Brother, this happened 24 hours ago. Maybe just over a day. This is going to recur a lot. There's going to be a lot of contradictions and things that just make no sense here. Now, I don't know if Kreek did what he did next because he knows, or if it was completely on accident. But Kreek telling this kid what he is accusing these other kids of doing, I think genuinely breaks him from this point on.
Here's, I think, the crux of the issue here. You have inadvertently accused an entire development team of, I don't want to use the word murder, but due to negligence, they're responsible for the death of your friend.
I never wanted this to get out. That's the thing.
What? What do you mean? And this is when Kreek locks the fuck in. This is when Kreek goes Ace Attorney mode.
I'm gonna keep this to myself.
Because I see a screenshot here. Your words, I have a second. Her heartbeat is slow as hell. Get a YouTuber on this. Get this out there. If she dies, I swear to God, are there not content creators? I know it's possible to ping them here.
Now, this kid says that their friend was telling them that they should do this. And I don't know what the logic is. Because I don't know how they could deduct from the time that their friend had a seizure to then instantly knowing that it was Doom by Fate. That, to me, that timeline doesn't quite make sense here.
You claimed that this happened and now people are running with the story. My question would be, is there any physical proof of this, that this happened? Literally
it's hard
anything.
To get something because I'm not her family. And why can't I ask her family is because her mother and father are dead.
I know the context of the rest of the interview, so this seems really strange that I'm reacting this way. But how do you make that up?
So she doesn't have any grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, nothing like that?
Her parents were decently old.
That wasn't the question! Kind of skipped over that question, but sure, okay.
Well, hold on. She
They
was
don't even
20.
know about-
So how old was her parents?
I think when she was 19, her parents were like 60.
Okay.
61 to like 62. I'm not sure.
Now, I can vouch for this. I'm 23, and my dad is in his 60s, so this does add up. But have you noticed there's a lot of I think, and not really any certainty? Sure, they might not know.
So she was 20, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
And at this point, when I was watching this, I put my face in my hands. I got duped. We all got duped. Don't get me wrong, things like this can happen, but I was already skeptical, and I personally do not trust a 13-year-old to relay information about their friend had a seizure, knew it was doomed by fate, and was drip-feeding information, not giving the information that could prove this. This is when I knew it was all a lie.
She says she lives alone.
Yeah.
So she has a seizure. Her next door neighbor walks in on her having a seizure, is what you said.
Her next door neighbor is our friend.
All right, bit fucking convenient, but okay.
But then I just remember that they texted me and they said Kit's having a seizure.
Oh yes, instead of calling the ambulance or, someone who could save my friend having a seizure, I decided to text a 13-year-old on Discord to say they're having a seizure instead. No, genius. Absolutely genius.
How does the neighbors know that she's having a seizure? How do the neighbors get into the house?
Because since the neighbor is our friend,
Of course.
they had a key to get in.
Of course.
I still don't know why they were there at that exact time because I never asked them.
Do you want to know why? Because they're not real!
And right now they're like taking a long break from communicating with people because this shit hit hard on them.
A contradicting statement! How would you know they're taking a break because it hit them hard if you can't talk to them? Let me calm down.
How old is the neighbor, by the way?
I think at 19. I think they're 19.
Does the 19-year-old live with their parents?
Yeah.
So where were the parents in all this?
Dead. Or do we not get to that arc yet? But he is right. Where were the parents? And if your neighbor has a key to your apartment, what? Why am I trying to make sense of this? Like, why am I trying to think logically how this would work? I know it's not true. I'm mad I got duped. I can't lie. I'm just mad. I'm still mad.
But I don't remember her parents or her parents being there.
So what the fuck? If you're friends with... Oh my god, man. If you're friends with your friend who recently passed a neighbor, how do you not know what gender they are? If you are friends, even if they are trans or bisexual or something along that line, I feel like that is something that you are told from the beginning.
So like he doesn't wake his parents up when the next door neighbor's having a seizure?
I guess, but still they're taking a long break from communicating with people.
The parents are taking a long break from communicating with people, is what you're saying.
That's not what you said! You said your neighbor was taking a break, not the parents! Those parents work a 9 to 5 if they want to keep that apartment. They're gonna pay rent!
Calls EMS and then calls you. Is that right?
They called me, and then when I got there, they were in the middle of calling EMS. Well, they texted me, then they started calling EMS. Firstly,
I want you just to keep in mind the events that they have said happened here. They called this kid. Then, when they got there, they were in the middle of calling EMS. Now, I just want you to keep that in mind for a second. But also, who the fuck calls a 13-year-old on Discord before they call someone who has... Oh, before they call the ambulance. Before they call anyone who is certified to help someone who's having a seizure! This next part might be my favorite part of the entire interview because you can visibly see Kreek holding back a smile.
Why would they call you you're 13. What are you going to do? Why not call 911? He calls you. You say you go over. How do you get there if you're 13?
I'm fucking running.
How far do you guys live apart?
About 15 blocks apart.
We've got fucking A-Train in the building! Do you understand how far 15 blocks is? That's about a mile. The fastest mile ran was in 3 minutes and 43 seconds. We have a new world record contender because you're telling me that he was called first before EMS. He ran the fastest mile and got there whilst they were mid-conversation with EMS. Now, Kreek catches this kid in a lie because Kreek asks if this kid performed CPR on the girl currently having a seizure. And he says yes. And that's when Kreek, I think, fully now clocks that this kid is just straight up lying.
You perform CPR at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I had to take a CPR class in high school. And like one of the things they teach you during that is that you never perform CPR on someone that is like that doesn't need it. So if they're breathing, even if it's like if they're breathing, period, you don't perform CPR. Also, if someone's actively having a seizure, like there's procedures there too. You turn them on their side because you don't want them to choke on their tongue or whatever. There's certain procedures there. So my question is like, if you know CPR, who taught you CPR? Because you definitely would not want to perform CPR in a situation where they're still breathing.
They told us to turn them on their side, but they never said anything about you shouldn't give it to someone that's having a seizure or if their breathing is shallow.
That I don't think they would be qualified to teach CPR.
So EMS gets there, and then what happens?
Well, she gets taken, and I tried to ride with them, but I just had to follow it.
So you
And
ran
then
all the way to the hospital.
It was hard.
But he prevailed! He did it! This man ran the fastest mile. Of course he did it!
All right, so you get to the hospital, like what happens?
I get put in the waiting room. When I get in there, I see she's on a fucking operating table. Well, not an operating table, she's on a hospital bed. And then her heartbeat started slowing, so they got her into surgery. And then, but when I say I watched her die, I was watching through the fucking window and the door.
So you were watching them do surgery through the window.
Yes.
This kid's story is crafted in such a way that makes him look like the absolute Chad. You can't just go in. They require identification for you to go in. If you're not family, why the fuck would they let you watch the operation? When my dad lost his leg a decade ago, I was his family, and yet I wasn't even allowed to see his surgery. I wasn't even allowed to see him in the state he was in. So what makes you think they're just gonna let you randomly watch them do surgery? This is actually one thing I learned from House MD, is that the only time they're ever allowed to look through the viewing window of a surgery is if it's students learning, if it's close family, and if it's other people who work there. I'm pretty sure a 13-year-old is not gonna get there, but I'd love to see how you did it.
And look, I don't work at a hospital, so maybe I'm wrong here. Like I question a hospital letting a 13-year-old watch a surgery through a window without any parents being there.
They didn't know.
They didn't know you were watching?
No.
He has superpowers! He went undetected. He was invisible. He was able to watch the surgery in the tiny viewing window room undetected.
Well, how hospitals work, though, is they have patient areas and then they have the emergency operating section. And in order to get into those sections, you usually have to have like some sort of key card or some sort of like pass to get in there. How did you get in there?
I just followed them. They didn't notice me. And then when they closed the door, I just looked in through that window.
Okay.
I know that may be wrong to do, but then when she died, I just left.
Did you feel that? I felt the chills. That was genuine chills right there. Oh my god. Bro, that's the superhero we needed right there. I just want to be genuine for a second. I've watched this 3 times now, and as I'm editing, I'm realizing how deranged this all sounds. He genuinely thinks that we're gonna believe that he G.I. Joe snuck into a hospital.
There is no documentation from the hospital or anything. You don't even technically know that she passed away.
I can't get documentation. I don't know what documentation I can get, but since I'm not family, they won't give me any documents. I even told them I'm getting sent death threats over this, but they can't.
You told the hospital that?
I love this man! Kreek, I know you didn't try to be funny, but just the line delivery there. It was perfect. And I think what Kreek says here is the breaking point. Truly telling this kid the consequences that his actions could have. This is when everything starts falling apart.
I just want to make it clear. You do realize that what you're, like, if this is false and not true, you could be looking at a defamation lawsuit. Not to mention, depending on the situation, like, you were going to do you mentioned a charity event for your friend. If this was false and this didn't happen, and you did a charity event raising money for someone that passed that's charity fraud. And this is all true. This happened.
I love this dude. I didn't know Kreek until a couple months ago. But the way that he's able to seriously interview this kid and unconsciously make me laugh. Just responses. I can see why people love this dude.
Like there's some gaps in logic here. Like some of my family members work as nurses, work on dispatch, they work in an ambulance. I brought this to them. A lot of what you're saying just doesn't line up to how like medical procedure actually works.
But Kreek, I don't think your family members have interacted with a superhero like the legend here. This man ran the fastest mile and went undetected in the surgery room. I think that might be why they think it's a bit strange.
They technically, you don't even know if she passed away.
Well, does somebody just send? Oh my god! Someone just sent me another death threat, and they said I wish I would have killed myself with Kit.
Now at this point, it actually gets pretty uncomfortable to watch because this kid has desperation. They are trying their hardest to make it seem as real as they can, but everything they've said so far is so obviously a lie. And Kreek's not buying it, nor are we.
Do you have anything you could show me that would show that this is not only even a real person, but that the situation happened or anything like that? Do you have a picture of your friend? What was your friend's Roblox account?
Let me see, hold on.
This question should be the most simplest thing to answer. You should be able to answer this question instantly. If this person who has passed was your best friend and someone that I'm assuming you played Roblox with, you should know this. Like, I'm not best friends with someone like Little Big Connor, but even I know that their Roblox name is Little Big Connor, and there's like 3 R's at the end. And if I can remember that from someone who I'm friends with, how do you not know that for someone you are best friends with?
You don't remember your best friend's Roblox name?
Her display name was...
Oh?
Why can't I remember? Oh my god. I don't know, I can't think of it right now. I'm trying to think of it, but I can't.
Okay.
It's just so uncomfortable. Just, this kid should not be in a state where he thinks this is okay to do. You can clearly tell by the tone of his voice and just the shakiness that he is looking for any way out, any solution that could benefit him here. But there's no options. There's no routes here that genuinely fix this. And it hurts to watch. This should have been a simple answer, but this kid goes on for almost 4 minutes. Just thinking and going, making all these sounds like can't give a name. It's so pathetic, and God, it's so upsetting because something has led for this kid to do this. And I hope this kid takes a long break off the internet until, you know, he's 15, 16, or just older to be more developed enough to understand why what has happened here is such a serious issue. And what he says next it's heartbreaking. It actually upsets me because no 13-year-old should be thinking like this.
Can I just be honest with you for a second, and can you put this into the video?
Sure.
I have tried to kill myself over these death threats because I've been getting such an abysmal amount of them. It's starting to take a toll on my own mental state.
Now, I don't want to be that guy. Suicide is a important topic, and if you ever do feel alone, please talk to someone. But it's so hard to believe this, and I hate that I have to say that, because I don't believe there's death threats, and I believe he's only saying this to get pity points, because he made it clear that he wants Kreek to put this in the video. It feels like he's trying to save himself at this point, try to get some sort of empathy and pity, because he knows he's caught. But again, a 13-year-old should not be thinking like this. Genuinely, where are the parents? Because stuff like this should not be happening. I genuinely feel bad for Kreek here, because what is Kreek supposed to say to this? Kreek did a good job at sort of acknowledging what was said and bringing back to the point at hand here. Because I think even Kreek knew that that comment, what he was saying is just to try and get some sort of pity.
I understand that. I'm sorry to hear that. I think it's important to realize that the kids on the dev team are also getting death threats right now because you accuse them of murder.
Everyone's getting death threats, and I fucking hate it because I can't do anything about it.
Well, you
like,
could.
I know
you could do something. Like, you could verify it, and then it's true, and then it's real, and then you won't get death threats anymore.
I'll find a picture of us when I can, okay?
Okay.
And just like that, is over. Like I said, the beginning of it is genuinely kind of funny because it's a kid being a kid. There's so much imagination here that's being told in this story that it's so obvious that it's not true, but the ending is just desperate. There's so much desperation at the end there that it's hard to watch. And I respect Kreek a fuck ton for even getting into contact and doing the interview. But after watching this so many times now, the lies are there. It sucks that it's all fake and a lie, and it sucks that innocent developers here are now tainted by this probably forever. I don't think doombyfate will be able to recover from this, and that sucks, because they didn't do anything wrong. Now, I just want to quickly go back to the video that was posted yesterday and clear up some things that I said that need to be redacted and changed a little bit. I jumped to make a video as I genuinely believed that this was real, and I wanted to warn people about what had happened, and to any epileptic viewers that I had to stay away. I genuinely believe that what had happened, and I wasn't being lied to. In the previous video, I kind of bunched everything up as devs, saying that the people saying these horrendous things about this possible person who passed playing the game was the developers. But actually, the developers weren't even awake for this. And the people who were saying these horrendous things were Trello managers, someone who made just fan art, and people who were not a part of the dev team. That information was so muddled up as a lot of sources had said that it was the dev team. And I don't know the dev team. So of course, I just assumed. And that's on me, I retract that. But this doesn't excuse how those individuals were acting towards someone that they didn't even know was dead. Going to someone's DM and bringing up the Tung Sahur thing was incredibly disgusting. And the way that others were treating the situation as well was horrible. That still stands. Those people should be held responsible for the things they said. But the actual developers of the game itself had no real involvement in this, as a lot of them were asleep. They woke up to hearing that apparently they killed someone, and they had no idea. I will say, the 1x visuals do need to be toned down, and I do think that is a genuine concern, and they do need to do more for an epilepsy mode. They need to have a warning at the start of the game and an option. And I guess a positive from this is that a lot of other games reevaluated their epilepsy mode, actually changed things more to benefit epileptic people, changing the epilepsy mode to reduce more motion. So I guess that's a positive. And we raised some money for the Epileptic Foundation, which I still advise you, if you can, to donate to them. But let this be a lesson that the story of Boy Who Cried Wolf is still a very relevant thing in this current time. The more time people lie, the more times people just spread false rumors, the more that it's hard to believe if something actually did happen. If there was a case where someone who was epileptic died by playing a Roblox game now, it's gonna be hard to trust because of situations like these. And to any of the devs watching, I apologize if my video was a bit harsh on the game. I was under the assumption that this was a true story, and unfortunately it wasn't. And for that, I apologize. With that all being said, I'm gonna go back to scheduled programming and go back to editing the video I was supposed to do for April Fools. This chaotic 2 days have kind of taken over. I felt like I owed an update video. The next video will be a max level video on the April Fools killer for the Swapsaken update. It might take a little bit now because, you know, I've had my hands busy a little bit. I would say if you like the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing, but this, I don't make this type of content. I never have. But if you guys like these kinds of videos, I guess I could see what I can do. I don't really like talking about drama. Maybe we can mold it into a more positive thing, this style of video. Anyways, I've been Speedz, and I hope you have a good one.